Welcome to Travel Weekly TV, where we sit behind the scenes with the industry's heavyweights. I'm Hoda from the Travel Weekly team, and today I have Julie from Bench Africa. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you for asking me today. It's an absolute pleasure.
So we wanted to introduce you to the travel industry in case nobody knew who you were. So tell us a little bit more about Bench Africa and what you do there.
So Bench Africa, it's been around for 54 years. I'm very proud to say that I have been there for almost 25 years. A lot of people go, 25 years, Julie, oh my gosh.
That's what I said.
Very, very true. I'm either mad or I'm passionate. No, I'm passionate. I'm passionate about what I do. It's one of those destinations that everyone wants to go, and sometimes they're a little bit hesitant to go. But I can honestly say that working for Bench Africa, who are the leaders of the Africa industry in Australia, we are one of the oldest wholesalers in Australia. Everyone who works there is very passionate about what they do. So one of the key factors of all our employees is either they're married to an African, they've travelled in Africa extensively, lived in Africa, or born in Africa. So I'm the only one who hasn't. I've been to Africa more than 30 times. So trust me, I'm almost there. So it's the passion that is behind the scenes at Bench. We are also owned by our DMC, which is Southern Cross Safaris. They're based in Kenya. So we have our own fleet of vehicles there. We have our own guides, and we own some of our own lodges as well. So they have been around for over 50 years. And not only that, we have our own DMC in Cape Town as well. So we've got our ears and eyes on the ground constantly. So we are there for our clients when they need us 24/7.
And this is what sets you apart, correct me if I'm wrong, but you specialise in Africa. And so you would know the ins and outs, really.
Correct, yeah. So it was we only do Africa. So a lot of people during COVID asked us, would you like to pivot? I really didn't end up liking that word pivot. We are the specialists in Africa. There was no point us looking at another destination because we breathe, we live, we love Africa. So we rode through the whole 2 years and just stayed to our core values, and we're still here today. And Africa is our passion and our life.
I love it. I do. So post-pandemic then, have you noticed a trend in the industry and how people travel?
So post-pandemic, there was a lot of your clients would sort of come to you about a year in advance to pre-organise their arrangements and give you a 1 year's lead-in time. What I found now that with post-pandemic, they're now all of a sudden wanting to go straight away. So there's no more that lead time, which is really exciting for us because it's all of a sudden we're open to the world. Mm-hmm. So now people are like, do you know what? There was a great fair. Even though airfares are expensive, there is some little pockets of specials, and they'll go, we want to go in 2 months' time. And that is amazing because we have been waiting for 2 years plus to get out there and travel. Unlike the rest of the world, you've got Europe, you've got America, you've got cruising. They are the ones that are just the norm, whereas Africa has always been that bucket list. So we're finding now that bucket list is becoming in front of people's minds and they're wanting to go rather than wait, which is great for us.
They want to go right then and there.
They want to go right there and then. And Africa's waiting for everyone. Like we have been waiting. I go we, I feel like I'm the owner of Africa. But
love that. That's when you know you're really are truly passionate about your brand and what you do is when you say we. And
we. And you know, the difference is that when you do call Bench Africa, you actually are speaking to a specialist. So you're not put on hold, you've not got a call waiting system. You are there, whether it be myself, whether it be one of the reservation staff, whether it be the BDM might pick up. We're one big family. I call them, I'm the mama bear or the pride of the lions, and I'm there to look after everyone. So I feel very strong and very passionate about it. And so I want to make sure that my clients get the best experience, because all they've got is that the experience that they have, which means creates memories for their families, and they come back with that. So it's very special.
And so what's your favourite travel memory then?
Okay, favourite travel memory. One of the very first times that I went to Kenya, we went to the Masai Mara Reserve, and when you're in the vehicle, you have to stop at the park gates. because your driver has to buy the park fee. And most of the time there are some ladies, Maasai women, sitting by the side doing their beads, their crafts, and they come and tap on the windows wanting you to purchase their wears and tears. And one of the things the driver says is, please close your windows, don't look at them, because you're just encouraging them to like offer you things. And I thought, you know what, that doesn't sit right with me. So Julie gets out of the vehicle and decides to go up to the Maasai women, and I sit down with them and I talk to them and we have this conversation, and all of a sudden you see, I might get goosebumps saying this, all of a sudden you see their smiles, their warmth, their love come out of you, and you sit there and you talk and they show you their beads, and then they pass the beads over to you, and you don't have to buy it. It's not like you have to or you're pushed into it, but it's just woman to woman.
It's that interaction.
It's that interaction. So rather than being on the inside and watching them, get out there and immerse yourself with it. And that emotional connection that I had with them was just like, will last with me forever, those smiles.
And those memories.
And the memories that you create that you can't take with a camera. It's with your eyes and with your heart. So
the best saying, and I remember this very vividly when I heard it, and it's always stayed with me, is that you remember how people make you feel, not necessarily what they say or who they are. It's just that feeling that you tend to remember. And traveling has the power to do that. It's the feeling that you feel when you travel to, especially remote destinations too.
I agree, because a lot of people who go to Africa often say to me, I want to see the Big Five. And I go, I totally understand you want to see the Big Five, but when you come back, what's going to touch you the most is the people and what they have left behind in your soul. And I think that is such a key factor, is that it's not just about the animals, it's not just about the landscape, but what makes that experience is the people.
Absolutely. And so what's something that the travel industry might not necessarily know of Bench Africa and of you?
Well, I think I just gave it away. I've been there for almost 25 years. So I do kind of stay behind the scenes a little bit, and I make sure that everything is looked after in the office. But an interesting factor about me, which not many people know, is my grandfather was a prisoner of war in the Second World War. And he was a prisoner of war in Kenya. And when my grandfather came back, my grandmother fell pregnant with my mother. And my mother was called the African baby. And I never knew about this until many, many years later when I started working for Africa. And my mother told me that she was often known as the African baby. So it's kind of like generations, or however you want to look at it. I was destined to be working for Africa and selling Africa. It's almost like that connection was made years ago. So that's something not many people know, that you will now know. And Bench Africa, it is, what I love about it and what is very clear about it is its branding, its passion to the country. We are there assisting our clients to make sure, again, to have a memorable experience.
And for the travel agents watching and tuning in today, how can they find out more information on the latest news with Bench Africa?
So you can hop onto our website, so www.benchafrica.com.au. We have two amazing BDMs out there. We've got our Trade Relations Manager, Andy, and our lovely Graham in Queensland. So they can reach out to both of them via our website. We do also have a travel agents portal on our website. You can click on there. We've got a fantastic Safari for School as well, which gives the agents who are novice to Africa and always a little bit scared on how to sell it. There's a little program in there as well, a little educational module that you can go through the steps and learn a little bit about it. But if you are hesitant and you're a bit nervous about selling Africa, because it is a big continent.
It is.
And there's a lot of things to see and do, and not necessarily something that everybody wants to go to. So you just reach out, give us a call, and we would be more than happy to help you.
I have to say, I was a travel agent as well many years ago, and whenever someone used to come in and they wanted to go to Africa, I would freak out. I would freak out because it is such a large place to cover, and you can't know it all as a travel agent. Absolutely. So it's good to know where to go to get the latest news, and especially with Bench, everyone's such a a specialist in that field.
Exactly right. And and to make it easier for those travel agents out there, we are more than happy to also speak to your clients as well with you in front, and it becomes like a learning module there as well. We can come out and see you if we're around, but the fact is that you can pick up that phone and you're not waiting on a call waiting or in a line. Straight away that call gets picked up and you're speaking to a specialist, so we can help you in any way.
What's the one misconception with Africa when it comes to travellers and also travel agents from your experience?
So I think people have got a misconception that it can be very expensive. So that's a huge misconception. And also people believe that Bench Africa is only high end. Well, that's not the case, because we do overland trips as well. So we've got a 56-day overland that is $5,000, which is as cheap as chips. You do have to pitch your tent up and you do have to participate in cooking. So, but again, an adventure and an experience. So the misconception is that Africa can be quite expensive. But how I kind of relay it back to people is, when you go to Europe, you buy your accommodation. And most of the times it doesn't include your meals, your drinks, your transfers, your tours. You've got to pay for all that when you're there. So by the time you come home, you look at your account and you go, oh my gosh, I've spent $10,000 on my incidentals. Well, with Africa, you're paying for that in advance. So when you go to Africa, your meals, your activities, your transfers, your accommodation is all covered for.
And you can factor it into your budget.
Correct. You can factor it in. So we've got a great package for, let's say, 7 days, 6 nights for $2,000. Breakfast, dinner, and your activities. So it's not expensive. It's about speaking to the right specialist to make sure that we meet your expectations and your budget, because everyone has a budget. And even though that is always quite a tricky subject, because people don't really want to say to you what their budget is. So I sort of get around to it and say, if I was to say to you, I'm going to invoice you for $10,000, what do you say? Some people go, oh, no, I've got more than that. Fine. So it's just...
Is that all?
Is that all? So there's something for everyone. So never be worried that it's not going to fit into your client's budget, because there are means and ways of doing it.
Absolutely. I'd like to know, from your experience, what's the number one thing that you don't travel to Africa without?
I'm the worst packer for a start. I pack everything in my kitchen sink. The one thing that I would not, would have to be, what is it going to be? My sunglasses and hat.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And your camera.
And my camera. Yeah. Well, we all have iPhones.
Yes.
So you see a lot of people that take their cameras, big lenses to Africa. And then you've got people that just have their iPhones. And those iPhones take the most amazing pictures.
Because it's quick. You can just whip it out.
Snap. Yeah. So you don't need to be a professional photographer. When you come back, you will be a professional photographer, even with your iPhone. So yeah, probably my sunglasses, my hat, and some binoculars.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Good tip. Tell me something about Bench Africa that the travel industry might not know about.
Good question. Good question, Hoda. So Bench Africa, I think I mentioned before, is owned by Southern Cross Safaris in Mombasa. Our chairman, Mike Kirkland, is a unique gentleman within his own aura. He's and he doesn't like to have people know too much about him. He's very much behind the scenes, very, very passionate about his people and his country. He's an ex-rally driver. And when he comes out to Australia to visit us, and he's actually due to come out in October, he has got so much personality that his ooze of love for the country just make people melt. So when he comes out, he's very passionate about his employees. So throughout the whole of COVID, a lot of companies got rid of their staff. We maintained our staff, or I should say he maintained his staff and made sure that they were well looked after. In Kenya, you can go to school to become a silver guide and a gold guide, and there are very few guides that have got those qualifications in Kenya, and Mike puts them through the schooling. So we're proud to say that Southern Cross has got 1 gold guide and about 5 silver guides. So we're very proud of that. And those guides, again, are very passionate about their culture, their families, and making sure that our clients are well looked after. So although we don't speak a lot about it, behind the scenes, we are always looking after the country. So in particular Kenya, because that's where our owner is, Mike Kirkland, he ensures that everybody that was there during COVID is well looked after. And I think that's the important thing. So when you're going to Africa, and I'll touch on Kenya because that is where our DMC is, and we have our own vehicles and we have our own lodge. Those guides are local guides. So when you go there, you are creating jobs for them. And they love, again, they have the passion, as much as I have the passion from this side, they have it in threefolds. So they are constantly making sure that you want to come back. And by by being there with them, they share their stories with you. And it touches again on that emotional connection. So the vehicles are 6-seater vehicles, and you've got the driver and an empty seat at the front. You'll find 9 times out of 10 that someone will sit next to the driver and talk to him throughout the whole way.
Nice.
Yeah. And they build a bond. So that, to me, is quite special, is that even though through COVID, we still maintained our employees there and did the best for them. So you'll find that COVID was a horrible thing. We don't really want to talk about it. And a lot of places couldn't afford to keep their staffing on, look after the lodges. But it's all about community in Africa. The community is so strong, like European countries. It's all about community and family. We all look after one another, and that's what we did. And that's what I'm very proud of as well.
I can sense it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the work that you do. So thank you so much, Julie, for coming in and speaking to us today here at Travel Weekly. And thank you for watching Travel Weekly TV.
Thank you. Thanks, Hoda. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend a bit of time with you.
Thank you.
See you in Africa.